Hey, Dan from Michigan here again. Welcome back to my channel, Dan Procopio. Um, as I said many times before, I always want to just talk about things that I've actually done, experienced, used, whatever. And so I want to kind of continue that on. I made a video a few days ago about my how I started a lawn care business without any money. Okay. And so that was pretty exciting times. And in that video, I talked about, I'll put the link in the video here. So if you want to go back and watch that one. But I talked about how I put the flyers out, made the flyers, had the idea of this in the middle of December to start a lawn care business, right? Started putting flyers out on a daily basis, put about 15,000 flyers out. And I ended up my first year with about 70 customers. And with that, I came up with a contract that said that they would pay for their first 2 weeks or half the season or the whole season up front, depending on what their choice was, which most of them paid for the first 2 weeks, got me funded, was able to buy the equipment I needed. And that's all the story is all in there. But the point of the matter is that I started from nothing. I didn't have any money to do it, to really actually start the business properly, right? So I was able to do that with the ideas that I came up with, and you can too. So if you're really thinking about maybe starting a lawn business, it's still not too late. If you really get on it right away, right now, you could probably still get your business started this year. It wouldn't even have to be that big. And you could go from, growing it from that point. So the first year was good, like I said, and I was able to create a nice income to keep me going. And I thought, well, now what am I going to do come the end of fall? Well, I didn't know the lawn business. I really didn't. I had somebody cut my lawn all the time, and I thought about what did they do? Well, in the fall, for me, they used to do just like a last cut, I thought, but they call it cleanups, right? So what I did with my customers is I thought, okay, I'm going to have a fall cleanup, and that will be separate from my actual lawn cutting, right? And so I charged a certain amount per hour. And the people that really wanted the cleanup, they went ahead and paid that extra. And I tried to go as deep into the season as I could, all the way into really Thanksgiving almost. Okay, almost to Thanksgiving, I was able to do cleanups so that before the snow hit, these people had their lawns all cleaned up real nice. And that was, a little extra. I started thinking, what else can I do to make some extra? And so I knew that during the winter, some of my customers were going to want snow blowing. Well, I didn't have a pickup truck. And I sure as heck wasn't going to go and invest in a pickup truck to do it. And so I thought, well, I'll get a couple good snow blowers. I got a couple Toro snow blowers, which are really good, and one big one and one smaller one. And I said that I would do the same thing. I'd got a little contract together. Said that they would pay for the first two snow blows up front, and that if we get over so much snow, I think I said over 2 inches, 2 inches or more, I would come and snow blow. And if it was 4 inches, it would be an extra $5. If it was 6 inches, it'd be another $5 on top of that. So they just all agreed to that. And I ended up with 15 customers. Fortunately, that first year, I was able to finance the snow blowers. I went out and bought those. They weren't cheap, okay, but with enough customers paying for the first, I think they paid like $40 a piece times 15 was $600. So I was able to get what I needed, and I had money from the lawn business too to pick up the rest. And then we had a good amount of snow that year, enough little snows and a few big snows to really make it worth it. And what was really cool about doing the snow blowing was that it was quick and easy. So I had my son come out. I paid him nice hourly pay to come out with me and do the snow blowing. And we were able to kick out all 15 of them, even in a heavy snow, just in a couple of hours. Okay, so it was really a good extra way to make some extra money during the summer. And of course, or during the winter. And of course, I had already planned that I may not be able to work during the winter. So some of the money I made during the year, I put aside so that we'd be able to get through the winter. So that was number one, doing some cleanups. That helped extra. Number two, doing the snow blowing. That helped extra. And then number three was like people had asked me about trimming their bushes. I had never trimmed bushes before, but I put that into my mind for my following year. And I figured in the spring and the fall, you can do trimming of bushes. And so I bought me a nice Echo bush trimmer, really nice. It was fairly light, easy to use. And I figured, I see now these other guys did it. They laid down these tarps and they put these tarps down on the ground and cleaned everything up. I thought, I ain't gonna go through all that. So what I did is, when I first got probably half of my customers to have me do bush trimming because they all had some type of bushes that needed to be done. And I just charged like $30 an hour to do those. And most of the times it would be, an hour, maybe less to do this stuff. It was just a little extra, but it started adding up. And the nice thing about it was I got pretty good at it. And even the big bushes. And so I'd have people that weren't customers want me to trim their bushes as well. So even though I wasn't cutting lawns, I was able to do some extra bush trimming and did a really nice job. I could get, the ladder and everything. So anyway, I cut them all off. And then what I do is I take my Scag mower and I would blow the stuff away from it, get in there with the mower, being able to clean it all up real nice. I didn't need to put tarps down and all that extra stuff. Worked out really well and did a really nice job for all of my customers, and probably I think I had like 10 new customers that were just trimming. Now, another thing that I did in my second year is I bought, what do you call it? I bought some new equipment. I forgot to tell you about that. Bought the Scag mower. And the reason I bought Scag was because they had, you could grease all the parts on it. I was just kind of like, I wanted to know that the parts were greased, even though Exmark, which are great mowers, you didn't have to grease them because they were already sealed greasing fittings. But I wanted to grease them. They were heavier duty, it seemed to me. And I really liked the Scag mower overall. So I ended up getting that. That was one that was a pretty significant investment at the time. But again, I did the same thing my second year that I did with my first year, and I got everybody to pay for the first 2 weeks. Still ended up with about 70 customers the second year, but I was already thinking about downplaying it a little bit because I had started my other business back up, which I'll talk about again. Not something that really worked today, but it was the process of building that business is what got me the idea of how I could start the lawn business. So anyway, I bought the Scag mower. That was good. I bought a Echo weed whacker, which I really liked the Echo weed whacker. It was, these are all 2-cycle where you put, your gas and oil in there. And they were really nice, easy, light to work. They were supposed to be very dependable, and it truly did show to be very dependable. I also bought a backpack blower that year, and ended up buying 2 actually throughout the year as I started to recruit some help for getting me to be able to have somebody help me with the lawns. But the backpack blower was a godsend. I'm telling you, it really made the difference. A nice, powerful backpack blower really makes your job so much easier in all kinds of ways. And I ended up buying a stick edger. So remember I said I had to push. Well, if you look at the other video, you'll see I had to push behind edger, like the old type that I didn't really know there was a stick edger. And so I bought the stick edger. Oh my God, that made things so much quicker too, because it was just like pulling out the weed whacker, except now you could really cut nicely. If there was overgrowth, it was easier to do. And then with the backpack blower, it really made a big difference. So I'm trying to think of the brand. Can't think of the brand of the backpack blower right now. And again, this was 20 years, 25 years ago. So those extra tools, having the right tools for the job made a big difference. So now I got a commercial walk behind mower. I've got a backpack blower, a stick edger, a new another weed whacker that I bought, and a trailer. And so I was able to kind of really cut my work time by about another third. All right. So that was helping me make even more money. And the next thing I was going to do, and I'll talk about that in another video, is on my 3rd year, because I had started going back to my newspaper sales business that I had before, I needed to cut the amount of time that I did my lawns. So again, that meant keeping my best customers. And that's what I did in going into my 3rd year. But to just summarize the 1st year and the 2nd year together, the 1st year was tough. I had 2 21-inch mowers. I was cutting everything by myself. It was slow, it was methodical. The rain was heavy. You couldn't cut the grass as good, even if it was just a little damp, and mowers clogging up, all of those things. But you know what? I made it through and still did it and learned a lot about what a good lawn looks like when you get done and how to do it efficiently. So that was great. My 2nd year, having the heavier commercial equipment, being able to take about a third of the time off, I was able actually in most weeks to be able to get all of my lawns done in 3 days, really, by myself. And then when I hired help, I was able to get it done about 15 lawns a day by 1 o'clock. So we'd start at 7 in the morning, and by 1 o'clock, 8 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was done with 15 lawns, sometimes more. So that really kind of taught me too that I didn't need to have as many. And when you're making, $20 to $30 per lawn, 20 to 35, depending on the size of the lawn, that was pretty good. Money added up pretty quick. I was able to still have time to do the maintenance on the equipment, making sure everything was clean, the mower underneath stayed clean and everything. A lot of little things that you'll learn as you go along. But again, it was a great experience in learning to start a lawn business. Had I done it at a younger age, I could see really scaling that business up. But my other business was also very profitable at the time. So I really didn't think about building that business out, which I probably should have made that choice, knowing that the newspaper industry was fading. But we'll talk about the 3rd year in another video. If this is something that interests you, please, put in the comments. If you got questions, I'd love to answer them for you. And if you, Xmark, Exmark was my blower, and not Exmark. Exmark was the mower. It still wasn't. I'll think of that. I'll get it either in the comments or I'll talk about it in the next video. But put your comments in. Like the video if you could, and give me some information as to what you want to know more about. If this is something that you're thinking about doing, it'd be great to hear stories of people starting a similar way and being able to get it going. If you don't have money and you need money right now, this is a great time of the year to get it going quickly. And watch my other video. I'll put the link to the other video, or you can just go to my channel and you'll be able to see this first video that I made. Have a phenomenal day.